Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram Ram
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna.
Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Krishna
Please
Hare
forgive me.
Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna Krishna
Ram
Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Ram
Ram Hare
Ram
Ram Ram
Ram
Ram
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Hare
Krishna
Ram Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
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 Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna
Krishna Hare Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna Hare
Hare
Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare
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 Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram Hare
Ram
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 Ram Ram Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare
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 Krishna
Ram
Hare Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram Ram Ram
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Hare Ram
Krishna
Hare Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram 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 Hare
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 Krishna Hare
Krishna
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 Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare
Hare
Ram 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 Hare
Hare Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna
Ram Hare
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare Hare
Ram
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 Hare Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Krishna
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 Hare Hare
Krishna
Ram Hare Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna
Ram Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare
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 Ram
Krishna Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna Hare Hare Ram
Hare
Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram Hare
Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare Hare Ram Hare
Ram
Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Hare
Krishna
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 Krishna Hare Hare Ram
Hare
Hare Ram 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 Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare Ram Hare Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare
Krishna
Hare Ram
Hare
Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram
Ram
Ram Ram Hare
Hare
Hey Radhe Sham Sham
Hare Ram
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram
Hare Chaitanya Das Muni Chaitanya
Krishna
Das
Hare
Chaitanya
Krishna
Das Muni
Krishna
Gaura Das
Krishna
Das
Hare
Hare Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna Krishna
Ram
Hare Hare Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Ram Hare
Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare
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 Ram
Ram Ram Ram
Ram
Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare
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 Ram
Krishna Hare Krishna
Ram
Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare
Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaurapada
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नाम आचार्य शीला विलास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से बोलो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। गुरु महाराज की जय। Hare Krishna. This is Anuradha Devi Dasi from Dallas, Texas. So sorry for interrupting your ecstatic chanting, but it's time to move on to the next section of our mid-morning program, that is Chaitanya Bhagavat. So may I know who all joined us this morning?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharajas and all the assembled Vaishnavas. This is Kirti Dasari. Happy Ekadashi.
Hare Krishna, Kirtida Sundari Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajas. Thank you so much for joining, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anuradha Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Srila Prabhupada, very happy to see your smiling face. This is Preeti Vilasam Devi Dasi from Atlanta.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Vilasini Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajas. So happy to hear you, Mataji. Thank you so much for your association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Sri Guru and Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. Yashamati from Chicago. Happy Ekadashi to everyone.
Hare Krishna, Yashamati Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for joining, Mataji, and happy Ekadashi to you too, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anuradha Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from Texas.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Maharajas. Thank you so much for joining, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Ji, Anuradha Mataji, Dandavat Pranam to you and all Vaishnava. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Vrinda.
Hare Krishna Vrinda Gopika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajas. Thank you so much for joining Mataji every day, every sessions of Bhakti Sangha Japa group. Thank you for your association, Mataji. Continue doing so. Hare Krishna Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna, is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves?
Hare Krishna, Anuradha Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all the assembled devotees. This is Indalekha Karuna Devi Dasi from Lincoln. So nice to see you, Mataji.
So nice to hear you, Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajas. Thank you so much for all the wonderful services, and thank you for your association. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Is Prabhu there already on the call?
Not yet.
We have to read the quote, right, Mataji? We'll start the recording and read the quote.
Do you want to project it, or shall I read from my phone?
Mataji, you can read from the phone.
Okay. 22nd August. Energy is always kept on the left side. Radharani is on the left side of the Lord. And similarly, Lakshmi ji is also on the left side of the Lord. We are also marginal energy, not exactly like Radharani or Lakshmi ji. So we should keep ourselves always on the left side of the Lord and let us act as his arms or army. Letter to Brahmananda, August 22nd, 1968. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Gauranga.
Prabhu has joined, Mataji.
Adi Prabhu joined, beta.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Welcome. I welcome you all on behalf of Bhakti Sangha. Today we are very, very fortunate to have His Grace Adi Gadadhar Prabhu. So Prabhu will be enlightening us on Caitanya Bhagavat. So without further delay, I'd like to hand over the call to Prabhuji. Prabhuji, please take over. Thank you. Please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajas. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Priti Vilasini Mataji, for giving me this opportunity to speak on Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. Let's get started after chanting our Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamhayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we are starting a new chapter today. Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi Khanda, chapter 11 is what we are starting. In this beautiful revealed scripture, Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat has been very mercifully given to us by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur Mahashaya, who is an incarnation of Srila Vyasadeva. Text 1. Jaya Jaya Mahamaheshwara Gaurachandra Balya Leelai Shri Vidya Vilasera Kendra. The translations and purports are by Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada, who is the revered and beloved spiritual master of our founder Acharya, Shri Srimad Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada. Translation. All glories to Shri Gaurachandra, the Lord of Lords. Jaya Jaya Maha Maheshwara Gaurachandra. Maha Maheshwar, he is the Lord of all Lords. Ishwar means Lord, controller. In his childhood, Shri Gaurachandra was the reservoir of all scholastic pastimes. Balya Leelai, in his childhood, Shri Vidya Vilasera Kendra. Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu was the reservoir of Vidya Vilas pastimes, his scholastic pastimes. Purport by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. Vidya Vilasera Kendra is explained as follows. Please listen carefully, this is very important. The lack of proper philosophy or knowledge is called avidya. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada defines what is avidya. What is avidya? Lack of proper philosophy or knowledge is called avidya. Okay. What are the types of avidya? Although some people claim that to achieve knowledge of an incomplete object means jada vastu. To achieve knowledge of a jada vastu is vidya. Some people say like that. For example, to have knowledge of a computer software, to have knowledge of the human body, to have knowledge about the laws of physics or mathematics, or even astrology. This is all Jada Vidya. To have knowledge of Jada Vastu is called Vidya. Some people say like that. But Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada writes, but real knowledge is found only in knowledge of the Supreme Lord, who is Purnam, who is complete. Om Purnam Adah Purnam. Krishna is Purnam. To have knowledge of Krishna is real knowledge. Lord Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, Yomam veti tatvatah yomam evam asamudho janati purushottamam sa sarvavid bhajati mam sarvabhavena bharata. Lord Krishna says, this is a very important verse of Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna is saying, Yomam veti asamudho means one who without any doubt knows me, janati purushottamam. One who without any doubt, asamudho, janati purushottamam, knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Purusha Uttama, the best personality. One who knows me to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sa Sarvavid, knows everything. Doesn't need a MA or a PhD or MD or MBA, no. One who knows Krishna without doubt as the Supreme Lord, that person knows everything. Sa Sarvavid. And such a person, bhajate mam sarvabhavena bharata. Yomam evam asamudho janati purushottamam sa sarvavid bhajate mam sarvabhavena bharata. That is real knowledge. To know Krishna is real knowledge. Srila Saraswati Thakur is saying here. Real knowledge is found only in knowledge of the Supreme Lord who is complete. Now, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada is going to take it two steps further. Although knowledge of Brahman and Paramatma aspects of the absolute truth is part of the spiritual knowledge, yes, but in a comparative study of spiritual knowledge, they are both limited and incomplete. Hare Krishna. Now let's process that. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada is saying knowledge of Brahman and knowledge of Paramatma by itself is also limited and incomplete. One has to come to the point of Bhagavan realization. Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti. Last word is Bhagavan iti shabdate. Bhagavan. Bhagavan realization is the complete realization. And that is what the Bhakti Marg teaches us. The age for primary education of an ordinary human being is known as Balya, childhood. See the verse. Jaya Jaya Mahamaheshwara Gaurachandra Balya Lila Shri Vidya Vilasera Kendra. His Holiness Hridayananda Goswami tells the story of University of Florida. When Srila Prabhupada was in University of Florida, one reporter came and she was asking many challenging questions to Srila Prabhupada. One of the questions she asked was, why are so many young boys and girls joining your movement, joining your society? I see so many students, 18 years old, 19, 20, early 20s. Why are so many youth joining your movement? And what was Srila Prabhupada's reply? Srila Prabhupada very simply said that, why do you see so many youth in the universities and colleges? That female reporter replied, because that is the age for studying. That is the age for learning. Srila Prabhupada said, yes, that's what I have come to give. I have come to teach Krishna consciousness. So those who are interested in learning, expanding their consciousness, expanding their knowledge, real Vidya, they will come. And generally students are inquisitive to learn. So that's why so many youth are coming. The age for primary education of an ordinary human being is known as Balya, or childhood. The enactment of educational pastimes that we find in the pastimes of Sri Gaurasundar at that age are like the childhood activities of the spiritual world. The arrangement for learning and teaching children's literature like grammar, the principal subject of language books, is simply based on giving and taking mundane knowledge. With the help of these children's literatures, one can enter into and realize knowledge regarding transcendental sound. Although different languages born from the research of mankind are meant for bringing one to knowledge of the Supreme Lord, they are not actually directing one to knowledge of the Supreme Lord. What is the point in learning just different languages? Just to be called a linguist, a very learned scholar, he can speak so many languages. That is just mandanam lokaranjanam. It is like decoration of a dead body. Apranasya dehasya mandanam. Exactly. Bhagavad bhakti hinasya jati shastra japa tapa. Apranasya eva dehasya mandanam lokaranjanam. If we are Bhagavad bhakti vihina, if we are without Bhagavad bhakti, then all our jati, shastra, japa, tapa, our high birth, our knowledge of scriptures, or knowledge of different jada vidya, everything, our tapasya, fasting, austerities, dan, everything is like a decoration of a dead body. It is a very important tradition. Actually, my Guru Maharaj, Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj, was saying, growing up in the suburbs of Chicago, Maharaj appeared in a Jewish family. And it is said that the Jews are quite affluent and influential. And many of them are quite well off. And one of the family friends of Maharaj was a Jewish person. And there was a great economic recession at that time, just before Maharaj's birth, in the 1940s. In fact, 1940s, that period is called the Great Depression, where there was severe economic recession. There were no jobs, people were without food. Kids did not go to high school because the parents would tell them, just go and do some manual work because we need bread on the table. There was just no money. So even kids could not go to school because they had to work. It was a very bad time. But Maharaj was saying that one of his family friends, he was flourishing. He was doing very well, even in the Great Depression. And Maharaj said, do you know what his business was? What his family business was? He had two businesses. He was an embalmer and he used to make those epitha. So epitha are those stones, the tombs that you see in the cemetery where people are buried after they die. And that stone has the name of the deceased person carved. The year he was born, the year they died. And a little bit about them. He lived for the glory of Jesus, or that's called epitha. E-P-I, I think T-A-H, epitha. epitha. Someone can look up that word. So basically, before a person dies, they ask him, what do you want your epitha to read? And they will tell, well, write on my epitha Hare Krishna. If a devotee is asked, those are the last words you want the world to remember you by. Or somebody will say, just write I love you. Something like that they will say. Their last words, their year of birth, their year of death, and their full name. That's on the tomb of every person who dies in the cemetery. So he makes those rocks. He used to make those rocks. Yeah, epitha. Ananya, thank you. EPITAPH, epitha. So he used to make those epithas, and he used to be an embalmer. Embalmer is when a person dies, they put makeup on the patient's face so that if there are any bruises around the nose or mouth because the person struggled to breathe before dying, any scratches, everything, they will shave the person, they will give a nice hairstyle and put nice makeup so that the last darshan, the last showing in the coffin, everybody comes to see the last time. The person who has departed should look happy and healthy. They'll put nice pink rosy on the cheeks to make the person look nice. That is called embalmer. They treat the body so that they put a nice suit, nice dress, everything. So this is called mandanam. Aparanasya dehasya mandanam, the decoration of a dead body. People spend fortune on that and on the tomb. So even in the Great Depression, people continue to die. So this Jewish friend was saying that I will never be out of business because I deal with the dead bodies and people are going to die. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshano darshanam. So even in the Great Depression, his business was doing great. The point I'm trying to make is that people spend a lot of fortune. In America, there is even a funeral fund. Like we have an education fund for kids, we have a retirement fund for grown-ups. There is a funeral fund. Everybody has a funeral fund here. They put aside $10,000-$15,000 of their savings so that they can get a decent funeral. Because who is going to spend for the funeral? The kids are not going to spend in American culture on the funeral of their parents. No, parents have to save up for their own funeral so that there is a nice funeral. Or they take it from the life insurance policy afterwards if there is no funeral fund. So funeral fund is there because people want that their last darshan should be nice. When people should see me, they should see that, oh, he lived well, he died well. He was well off and he died well off. Mandanam, Lokaranjanam. It is Lokaranjanam. All this decoration of a dead body does nothing for the person who has died. The person who has died has already been taken away by Yamdutas to the next destination depending on the karma. But all this decoration, embalming, decorating the dead body, the epitha, the tomb, which church you get your funeral in, how many people are invited, how many limousines are there, this is all Lokaranjanam. It is for the entertainment, for the pleasure of people who come. It does nothing for the person who has died. Isn't it? Isn't it true? Think about it. So therefore, if we don't have bhakti, our high birth, our looks, how many Facebook friends we have, how many followers we have, how many people come for our birthday party, how much money we make, which Ivy League university we went to, all these achievements are Mandanam Lokaranjanam. They are a decoration on a dead body only meant for the satisfaction of others. It does nothing for the person because we are a soul. We have nothing to do with anything material. Therefore, we should spend our life cultivating something that is real. And that is spiritual Sukriti, Adhyatmik Sukriti. That is what we should do. And what is that? Doing Vaishnava Seva, chanting Harinam, developing our love for Krishna, serving Krishna and Krishna's devotees. That is real life. Everything else is a waste of time. Notpade dedi ratim shrama eva hi kevalam. If whatever we do does not arouse rati for Krishna, then it is shrama eva hi kevalam. It is simply waste of time, useless labor. So therefore, learning different languages is useless if we cannot use those languages in the service of Krishna. So if we can learn languages so that we can spread the message of Krishna, spread the message of Mahaprabhu in different languages, then it is worth it. Ordinary people could not observe even a tinge of spiritual education in the educational pursuits of Sri Gaura Sundar in his childhood pastime. This is a fact. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was doing Vidya Vilas pastimes, but there was no tinge of bhakti. He was simply defeating everybody with his knowledge and intelligence. Since Gaurasundar concealed himself at that time, many people had no opportunity to see him as the central figure of all spiritual knowledge. So people could not understand that he is the source of all bhakti, source of all devotion. Although the objects of the external world, which act as servants of sensual knowledge, did not benefit the living entities through Sri Gaurasundar studying grammar and teaching language, the childhood pastimes, but from the intellectual point of view, he was nevertheless certainly present in each word as the super soul. So even though Mahaprabhu was not directly manifesting himself as the greatest devotee this world has ever seen, but still, even though he was just being a naughty, super intelligent, super brilliant child who was defeating everybody, the most intelligent scholar, but still, even if they were attracted to Mahaprabhu's intelligence, Mahaprabhu's his chapalya, his naughtiness, his quick-wittedness, his vast knowledge, still they are getting attracted to Krishna only. So therefore, it still had a lot of potency. Nevertheless, certainly he was present in every word as a super soul. Text 2. Ei mate gupta bhave ache dvijaraj adhyayana vina ara nahi kona kaj. In this way, our Gaurachandra, Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, who is Dvijaraj, he is the best of the Brahmanas, Gupta Bhave, confidentially lived in Navadvip. Ei mate Gupta Bhave ache Dvijaraj. He had no engagement other than studying the books. Adhyayana vina ara nahi kona kaj. He had no other business other than studying. Last two verses. I was told to cover verse 1 to 4. Verse 3 and 4 together. Jiniya kandarbha koti rupa manohara prati ange nirupama lavanya sundara ajanu lambita bhuja kamala nayana adhare tambula divya vasa paridhana. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, being a Gaura Premi Bhakta, a loving devotee of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, is getting enchanted, and he's enchanting us with the beauty and charm of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's writing Jiniya Kandarpa Koti Rupa Manohar. The beauty of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is enchanting millions of millions of cupids. Kandarpa Koti Jiniya wins over, the beauty of Mahaprabhu wins over millions and millions of cupids. Cupid is the god of love. Kandarpa. He attracts everyone in this world. Any lust or material attraction that we feel in this world, it is because of Kandarpa. And crores of such Kandarpas, millions and millions of such cupids are attracted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jiniya means to win over, to defeat. Jiniya Kandarpa Koti Rupa Manohara Prati Ange Nirupama Lavanya Sundara. Each and every limb, each and every bodily part of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prati Ange Nirupama Lavanya Nirupama. It was incomparable. There cannot be any upma. There cannot be any comparison. Incomparably beautiful. Nirupama Lavanya Sundara. Very charming. Lavanya means very charming, very beautiful. Sundara. Lavanya Sundara. Every limb of Mahaprabhu is perfect and complete and so beautiful, so attractive. Everything. Starting from the nails of his toes, his beautiful ranga pai, his beautiful reddish soles of his feet, his legs, his thighs, his belly, his chest, his long arms, his kamala nayan, his beautiful bimba lips, his soft black curly hair, his eyebrows, his ears, everything, his handwriting, everything is simply beautiful. Lavanya Sundara. Ajanu Lambita Bhuja. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's arms are like the arms of a Divya Purush. They are long, extending up to his knees, extending up to his knees. And Kamala Nayana, his eyes are like the petals of a beautiful lotus flower. And Adhare Tambula. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chewed, as a student, he chewed pan, tambul, betel nut, and Divya Vasa Paridhan. His dress was also very divine. He dressed very divinely. There were many people in Navadvip. They were so much in love with Nimai as their friend, as their teacher, or as their nephew, or as their fellow citizen. They loved Nimai so much that they would just voluntarily come and gift him silk clothes. They would gift him flower garlands, sandalwood paste, different perfumed oils. They would just come and give. And these were all devatas. 33 crore devatas had taken birth in Navadvip. When Mahaprabhu comes, when the Supreme Lord comes, the demigods being devotees, they want to assist. So they come. And they used to give all these gifts to Mahaprabhu. So therefore, adhare tambula divya vasa paridhan. Ajanu lambita bhuja kamala nayana. Adhare tambula divya vasa paridhana. Very beautiful description is there. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada is going to give a very nice purport, explanation of the physical beauty of Mahaprabhu and the reason behind what Mahaprabhu does. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur also begins Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat with this invocation verse. Ajanulambita bhujau kanakavadhatau sankirtanai kapitarau kamalayatakshav Vishwambharau Dvijavarau Yugadharma Palau Vande Jagat Priyakarau Karunavataro. This is the glorification of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Shri Nityananda Prabhu, both of them together in this verse. Ajanu Lambita Bhujau. Their arms are very beautiful. They extend below their knees. They are very slender and beautiful arms. Ajanu lambita bhujau kanakavadhatau. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has got a golden complexion. Ajanu lambita bhujau kanakavadhatau sankirtanaika pitarau. And Shri Gaur Nitai, they are the fathers of the Nam Sankirtan movement. Sankirtanaika pitarau kamalayataksha. Their aksha, their eyes are like lotus eyes. Kamalayataksha. Vishwambharau Dvijavarau. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is called Vishwambhar because he does bharan of the entire Vishwa. He maintains the whole Vishwa. Vishwambharau Dvijavarau. And both Gaurnitai, they are the best among the Brahmanas. Dvijavarau Yugadharma Palau. And they are the protectors of the Yuga Dharma, which is Prem Nam Sankirtan, Harinam Sankirtan. They are the protectors. Yuga Dharma Palau. Vande Jagat Priyakarau Karuna. These Karuna avatars, Parama Karuna, Prabhu, Dvijana, Nitai, Gaurachandra, they are so merciful that Jagat Priyakarau, they have done a great favor to the whole world. They have brought happiness to the whole world. Kevala Ananda Kanda. This Gaurnitai, they have brought this Yuga Dharma, which is simply enjoyment. Simply hearing Harikatha, chanting Harinam, doing Harinam Sankirtan, having wonderful friendship with nice devotees, like-minded devotees, nice prasad, nice singing, nice dancing, festival after festival. We had Balram Jayanti, then we had Janmashtami, then we had Nandotsav, Srila Prabhupada appearance day, 2 days Ekadashi, and now Shri Radhashtami is coming. So there is festival. Before that, there was Jhulan Yatra. Now Kartik is coming. Kartik is filled with festivals. Then before we know it, it will be Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Tithi. Then it will be Advaita Acharya's appearance day. Then again Nityananda Dashi, again Gaur Purnima. Then there is Ram Navami, there is Narsimha Chaturdashi, there is Jagannath Rath Yatra. The whole year is packed with festivals. Which path there are so many festivals? Tell me. Impossible. Now Kartik, every month is a festival. Every day of the month is a festival. Something else is there. Every day we have Damodar Ashtakam. This is a very wonderful path. The words Adhare Tambula, chewed betel nut, are explained as follows. On seeing Shri Gaura Sundar's wonderfully sweet beauty, which defeats the beauty of millions of cupids, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's matchless effulgence emanating from his bodily limbs, his long arms that stretch to his knees, his lotus eyes, his fine dress, and betel nuts between his lips, the conditioned souls who have been awarded ugly material bodies, short arms, and harsh eyes. My Guru Maharaj says button eyes. like this button of the, look at my eyes, like button, small. But Mahaprabhu's eyes are beautiful. Beautiful. What is that word used? They are Vishal and they are Kamalanan. They are large lotus eyes. I'm forgetting that verse. You know, Prabhu, that verse where Vishal word is used for the lotus eyes of Krishna. Anybody remembers that verse? I'm not able to remember. In Ramraksha also, Ramraksha Stotra also, that is there. Vishalaksha.
Krishna Shtakam, one Adi Shankaracharya says, Vishala Lola Lochanam, Namami Padma Lochanam.
Yes, our Amarendra was saying. Please, can you say it loudly? Vishala.
Vishala Lola Lochanam, Namami Padma Lochanam. That I bow down to Krishna in big lotus petal like eyes going from end to end.
Wow. I hope everybody heard that. It's very beautiful. Sripad Shankaracharya is saying that. So there we have Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Sir Thakur is saying, we have been awarded ugly material bodies, we have been awarded short arms and harsh eyes, and we desire sense gratification. Such people who are like that, with ugly bodies, short arms, harsh eyes, and who desire sense gratification, consider Sri Gaura Sundar as attached to material enjoyment and intoxication and possessing a material body like themselves. But if they understand the extraordinary glories of Sri Gaura Sundar, it will help the envious living entities realize that their material bodies, which are fit to be eaten by dogs and jackals, and their minds, which are attached to misconceptions, are abominable. These are beautiful words. These are not harsh words. These are beautiful words of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Once Srila Shukdev Goswami also uses such words. We should not think, what is Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur saying? Come on, I spent so much money to buy this Chaitanya Bhagavat set. And what is Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur calling me? He's calling me ugly body, short arms, harsh eyes. I desire sense gratification. I am attached. My body is meant to be eaten by dogs and jackals. My mind is attached to misconception. I am abominable. This is what Saraswati Thakur is telling us when we take the trouble to read his purports. Once Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj, this is beautiful. Once Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj was asked, why does Shukdev Goswami speak what he speaks towards the end of the 5th canto? Why? Where he says that the family members are like jackals and dogs who will come and loot us and take away everything, eat everything that we have. Why does Shukdev Goswami use such harsh words? Why does Bhagavatam call family members to be jackals and hyenas? Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj immediately replied, because Srimad Bhagavatam is your friend. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada is using these words because he's our friend. He's our true friend. He's our ever well-wisher. We need to hear this. We need to understand this because this is the truth. We may not want to hear the truth. We may not want to know the truth. But this is the truth. That we are attached to sense gratification. We are prone to misunderstanding the Leela of Bhagavan. Because we are envious. Clearly it is said. Envious living entities. Srila Saraswati Thakur is calling us envious. We are envious. That's why we are here, my dear friends. That's why bhakti seems so difficult. Because we are self-centered. We are envious. So we need to hear this. Because Srimad Bhagavatam is our friend, because our acharyas are our friends, they are telling us like an expert doctor the right medicine that we really need to take. This is the medicine we need to take. To understand that Krishna's beauty is transcendental and our physical form is abominable, really. It is abominable. And this is not who we are. We are not this material body. We also have a Chinmay Sharir. We also have a spiritual body. And the whole process of Krishna consciousness is to realize that. Atma Sakshatkar, to understand that I am Krishna Das, Jivara Swarupaya Krishnera Nitya Das, to realize that. And Prayojan means to actually engage on that platform. Actually engage on that platform, that I am Gopi Bhartu Pada Kamala, your Dasa Dasan Das. Although Shri Gaura Sundar, now please listen, this is very important. Although Shri Gaura Sundar accepted innumerable items of enjoyment such as pan, betel nuts, he instructed everyone for their eternal benefit to engage each and every item in the service of Shri Krishna, who is the only object of all enjoyment. Krishna is Radharaman. Krishna is Vrajaraman. Krishna is Rasaraj. Krishna is the enjoyer of everything that is to be enjoyed. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada would call Krishna the transcendental autocrat, the absolute autocrat. Krishna is the transcendental absolute autocrat. He can do whatever he wants. Yatha tatha vidhatu lampatu mat prananathastu sevana. Krishna is free to do whatever he wants, but he's always our Lord. And we are meant to be enjoyed by him. In other words, Shri Gaura Sundar taught that if living entities eligible for being controlled by Maya enjoy insignificant material sense objects, their inauspiciousness is guaranteed. If we engage in Indriya Tripti, we engage in sense gratification, our inauspiciousness is guaranteed, because these items are eternally prescribed as ingredients for the service of the Supreme Lord. Because everything like pan, flowers, perfumes, they are all meant to be used in the service of Krishna. Although the display of such pastimes by Shri Gaura Sundar is meant to be seen and analyzed by self-controlled sadhakas, the eternally envious, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada is saying eternally envious, Nitya Baddha. It's not that we were in Vaikuntha and then we fell from there. Eternally envious, ignorant observers are simply bewildered as a reward for their foolishness. Since Shri Gaura Sundar is situated on the highest platform of the absolute truth, his exhibition of renunciation pastimes was not intended to protect himself from the mundane difficulties imposed by non-devotional endeavors like those of the conditioned souls who desire self-control and liberation, and who display an indifferent lifestyle in order to remain detached or separate from material objects. So in short, Shri Gaura Sundar is situated on the absolute platform, and Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, his exhibition of renunciation pastimes, later on Mahaprabhu is going to renounce everything, he will take sannyas. It was not intended to protect himself from mundane difficulties posed by non-devotees. No. Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's display of renunciation was simply meant to, on an internal level, facilitate his experience of Srimati Radharani's Mahabhav, to live as a sannyasi, as a Virakta sannyasi in Jagannath Puri with Rai Ramananda and Swarup Damodar Goswami and other confidential devotees like Shri Gadadhar Pandit, and enjoy the sentiments, the mood of Srimati Radharani internally. Externally, taking sannyas, Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching the sincere devotees the path of renunciation. That if we want to get Krishna, we have to develop Vairagya. Kshantir avyartha kalatvam viraktir manashunyata ashabaddham samutkantha namagane sadaruchi. We have to develop these qualities if we have to get Krishna. These are signs of a very advanced devotee. Virakti is one of them. Virakti means Vairagya. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga. Shikshartham Eka Purusha Purana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shariradhari Kripambudhiritamam Prapadde. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to teach Vairagya because Vairagya is required. If we are attached to sense gratification, then how we can get truly attached to Krishna? Unless and until we give up the desire for material sense gratification, we will not be able to follow Sarva Upadhi Vinirmukta Tatparatvena Nirmalam. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchi. If our senses are engaged in selfish enjoyment, how we can do Rishikena Rishikesha Seva? Not possible, because our senses are busy. Atmendriya Priti Ichha Dhare Kamanam. Krishnendriya Priti Vancha Dhare Prem Nam. Prem means to satisfy the senses of Krishna. To satisfy one's own senses, tare bole kaam. That is called kaam. Sense gratification is kaam, lust. So Mahaprabhu is teaching us vairagya, which is important to get Krishna. Rather, he empowered the most fortunate persons, the devotees, to understand the important truth that in the characteristics and personality of the Supreme Lord, the performance of such pastimes is not at all abominable or faulty. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can eat pan, or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can eat the rotten, rejected rice from the jholi of Raghunath Das Goswami in Jagannath Puri. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can eat the Chhappan Bhog feast cooked by Srimati Sita Thakurani and Sri Advaita Prabhu, who are practically like Lakshmi Narayan, or he can drink the water from the broken down pot of Kolavecha Sridhar, which Kolavecha Sridhar used to use to even answer his nature's call. This is Mahaprabhu. Yes, he can accept invitation in the house of Srila Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya in Jagannath Puri, the topmost pure Brahman Pandit. Or he can snatch some broken pieces of rice from the cloth bag of Shuklambar Brahmachari and dance in ecstasy with him. This is Mahaprabhu. Or he can eat a simple soup made of some wild green leaves growing in the Jharkhand forest by Balabhadra Bhattacharya. Or in the South Indian tour, something cooked by Kal Krishna Das. Just some wild green leaves and some river water and light a fire and just boil water with green leaves. No spice. The simplest spinach soup. Mahaprabhu used to have that in the forest. What to do? There's nothing. Mahaprabhu is like that. There is nothing abominable or faulty. Mahaprabhu can do anything. But whatever he does, there is a learning lesson for us. When Mahaprabhu is enjoying eating the tambul, then we should understand that Mahaprabhu, as Bhagwan, as a Supreme Lord, he is a supreme enjoyer. He is Gaura Krishna. And when Mahaprabhu is going without food and water and doing bhajan and not knowing whether it is day or night in Gambhira, he doesn't even have any bodily awareness. Mahaprabhu is teaching us how deep is Krishna consciousness. How deep is bhakti? That one can go so deep that one becomes completely unaware of one's body even. So these are the different lessons that Mahaprabhu is teaching. But as our Acharya, as our Sampradaya Acharya Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the originator of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching us the highest character as the Yatijana Chudamani, as the crest jewel of all sannyasis. Many times I like to quote this verse. Shuklavastra machi bindu yaichena lukhaye, sannyasi alpachitra sarva loka gaye. On a white cloth, Shuklavastra machi bindu, a small black dot cannot be hidden. It will be visible. Similarly, a sannyasi is expected to be completely pure. And machi bindu, a small on the character of a sannyasi, if there is even small blot, then sarva loka gaya, the whole world will criticize the sannyasi. And we are representing sannyasis like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, like our founder Acharya Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada. We are representing them. And therefore, if there is a flaw in our character, that reflects very poorly on our parampara and ultimately on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because a tree is known by the fruits. So we have to be very careful, very conscious. Call ourselves Gaudiya Vaishnavas. It's a great privilege to get entrance into the Gaudiya Vaishnava parampara, but it is also a great responsibility. And we should try our best to do bhajan sincerely so that we properly serve and represent our glorious parampara, which is giving us the highest spiritual substance that is attainable, and that is Shri Radha Dasyam. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in Radha Bhav. and all his associates like Rup and Raghunath Goswamis, they are teaching us how we can, taking shelter of the mood of Mahaprabhu, how we can approach Radha and Krishna, and how we can serve Radha and Krishna in the mood of Gopi Bhartu Pada Kamala or Das, Dasanudasa. Srila Prabhupada, like in the last purport that we read today, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is making a point that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching us that all the items in this world are meant for the service of Krishna. They are not meant for our service. Srila Prabhupada, His Grace Yogeshwar Prabhu, a disciple of Srila Prabhupada from New York, he narrates this incident that happened. It's a very famous incident. Many of you might have heard. It happened in Paris. That visit of Srila Prabhupada to Paris was a very historical visit in many ways. Srila Prabhupada met many important world leaders in that trip. And Yogeshwar Prabhu had studied French in his school, so he was quite fluent in French. So when Srila Prabhupada wanted to go to France, then some devotees who knew the European languages, they were encouraged to go with Srila Prabhupada, like Bhagwan Das, like Yogeshwar Prabhu. So they went, and when they were in Paris, they arranged a very big event for Srila Prabhupada. What had happened was, the mayor of Mumbai came to Paris along with some political leader, and the mayor of Paris, the custom was that the mayor of Paris would go to greet big dignitaries from other countries. So when he went to receive, they requested help from some local Indians in Paris who could tell them about the Indian culture and kind of guide them to make sure the reception was culturally appropriate. So they knew that the Hare Krishna devotees, they represent the Indian culture. So they approached the ISKCON devotees. Hey, can you help us receive the mayor of Mumbai? So of course the devotees were happy to oblige. So they went, they guided, and they received the mayor with Harinam Sankirtan. At that time, Yogeshwar Prabhu took an opportunity to tell the mayor of, actually the event coordinator for the mayor of Paris, that our spiritual master is also coming. And he is Jagat Guru, he is a world leader, he is re-spiritualizing the whole world, and just gave like a 5-minute pitch about Srila Prabhupada. And it really inspired the mayor's office. And they said, well, let us think about it. And few days later, the ISKCON temple in Paris got a call from the mayor's office that we are interested in receiving your spiritual master whenever he comes next time. So please let us know a little bit more about your spiritual master. So they wrote a whole essay about Srila Prabhupada, how he was born in a spiritual family, devotee family, how he met his spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur, how he was initiated, how he had a pharmaceutical business and then gave everything up for the spiritual welfare of the world, how he had written so many books, he was an author. Because being an author, at that time, Paris was the high seat of learning in Europe. All the philosophers and intelligent people, artists, they would come to Paris. It was a place of not just fashion and design, but also the intelligentsia came to Paris. So when they heard that Srila Prabhupada is the author of dozens of books and his books are being sold in practically 6 continents, they were quite interested. So the decision was made to receive Srila Prabhupada, and that the mayor would attend the the lecture, the event in the auditorium. So they booked a very famous auditorium which can seat thousands of people. There was huge publicity, and somehow the mayor could not make it because the mayor was out of the country, but the vice mayor came. Now, please note that the mayor of Paris or the vice mayor of Paris is not like just mayor of any other city. Every city has a mayor, but it's not like that. The mayor of Paris historically goes to receive only the heads of state. When the heads of state come, prime ministers, presidents, that's when the mayor of Paris goes. It's a very big position. And the mayor came to receive Srila Prabhupada. But for this event, the vice mayor came because the mayor was out of town in that auditorium. And before they came, the devotees, Yogeshwar Prabhu was called to the office and given a protocol. What is the protocol when the mayor or vice mayor attend any public event? There's a protocol. When they come, the guest has to stand up. Means Srila Prabhupada has to stand up and receive the mayor. Then the mayor will come and he will speak. And then the guest can speak. That is the procedure. So Yogeshwar Prabhu said, okay. And then Prabhupada was taken to the huge auditorium and everybody was there. And then as Srila Prabhupada was seated on the Vyasasan, they made a nice Vyasasan for Srila Prabhupada on the stage. And then the vice mayor walked in, and all the cameras, reporters were there. They were writing, scribbling, photographing, videotaping. Everything was going on. And Yadupara Prabhu also was there with his camera. Everything was going on. And then when the vice mayor came, he stood and he looked at Srila Prabhupada, expecting that Prabhupada will rise. And then there was a French lady who was speaking, and Yogeshwar Prabhu was translating it from French to English for Srila Prabhupada. So that lady said, now the vice mayor has come. Please ask your spiritual master to stand up. So Yogeshwar Prabhu hesitated. He told Srila Prabhupada, they are saying that now that the vice mayor has come, maybe you can stand up. So Prabhupada looked at Yogeshwar Prabhu and said, I will stand up for who? And Yogeshwar Prabhu, he immediately understood that it was inappropriate to ask Srila Prabhupada to do that. So Srila Prabhupada remained seated. And then the vice mayor kept looking at Srila Prabhupada. Finally, he gave up. And he came and he gave a speech. And the vice mayor said that Paris is a great city and France is a great country. We have a very great spiritual heritage. Many spiritual leaders, popes, bishops, and other great philosophers, thinkers, they have come and they have spoken at this auditorium. So Paris is it has got a very rich spiritual history. And we are very happy that His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami has come, and now I request him to take over. And then Srila Prabhupada came, and Srila Prabhupada was very gracious. He thanked the vice mayor for the opportunity and for the warm welcome that he had received. And then Srila Prabhupada made a very bold statement. Srila Prabhupada said that it is good that you say that Paris and France has a rich spiritual culture, because this is important. We are not a civilization of cats and dogs, Srila Prabhupada said. It is the responsibility of every government to make sure and to give every opportunity to the citizens for their spiritual progress and spiritual development. And if the government is not making the facilities, not facilitating the spiritual progress of all the citizens, then it is a rascal government, Srila Prabhupada said. And Yogeshwar Prabhu was translating all this into French, and the reporters were scribbling and writing, taking notes. And obviously the press did not like it, that Srila Prabhupada said that if spiritual development is so important, if that is not taking place, it's a civilization of cats and dogs. And the government that is not supporting spiritual progress of the citizens is a rascal government. They did not like it. And then they also did not like that Srila Prabhupada was sitting on a Vyasasana. So one young French man, he jumped up on the stage and he kind of almost snatched the microphone, and he spoke loudly that one thing I will not do is sit on that big fat sofa that you are sitting on when everybody else is sitting on ordinary chairs. That's not what I would do. He challenged Srila Prabhupada, because Srila Prabhupada was sitting on a very beautiful, ornate, very well decorated Vyasasana. It looked really opulent. And this person, simply because he was envious, just like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada was writing, that reading that Mahaprabhu is eating pan, the envious people start criticizing Mahaprabhu as just a materialistic person. Similarly, seeing Srila Prabhupada seated on the Vyasasana, this young man, probably in his 20s, who had no experience, is shouting and screaming and criticizing Srila Prabhupada. He said, why are you sitting on that high seat? That's not what I would do. One thing I would not do is sit on that high seat like you. So he was trying to show himself better than Prabhupada. And Prabhupada very humbly responded that if you know about Krishna, then you can also come and sit here. Anybody who knows about Krishna and anybody who can teach others about Krishna, about God, can come and sit here. But still he kept challenging. And then when he said that, well, look at this man, he's sitting on this big Vyasasana. One thing I would not do is ever sit on such a big Vyasasana. When he said that, there was a big applause for this man. Big applause for this man. So seeing that, Srila Prabhupada responded by saying that if it is going to help you hear me better, then I'm willing to sit down. Which means Prabhupada sitting on the Vyasasana was such a big deal for them that they were just blocking themselves off. They were shutting themselves off, not listening to Srila Prabhupada's message because of that Vyasasana. So Srila Prabhupada said, if it's going to help you listen to me better, then I will sit down. I will sit on the floor. But Srila Prabhupada said, but I don't think that is the case. I don't think you have come here to listen to me. I think you have just come here to challenge me. So me sitting down doesn't make any difference. And Srila Prabhupada said, anybody who knows about Krishna, anybody who can teach about God can come and sit here. When Srila Prabhupada said that, they fell silent because they understood that they were in the presence of a very spiritually deep person. But Srila Prabhupada was not attached to that Vyasasana. He said, anybody can sit here. And if it's going to help you listen to me better, I'm willing to sit on the floor, Srila Prabhupada said. That really touched them. And they fell silent. On another occasion, Srila Prabhupada was sitting outside a small like a vacation home that was given by one of the parents of a disciple of Srila Prabhupada when Srila Prabhupada was traveling, because there was no temple. So it was a very hot afternoon, and Srila Prabhupada was sitting on the front yard on a chair, and Srila Prabhupada's personal servant was massaging Srila Prabhupada with oil. And after some time, another disciple came, and it was very hot. So he was fanning Srila Prabhupada, but they didn't have anything except a peacock feather charmer. So now imagine, this is a European country. Srila Prabhupada is sitting on the front yard of a house, and it's hot, and there is a young boy who is fanning Srila Prabhupada with a peacock feather fan. And one guy was just going jogging, and he saw Srila Prabhupada being fanned like that. So he stopped. He came back, and he was so angry, almost as if Srila Prabhupada was forcing this young devotee to fan him. The devotee was doing it on his own out of love for his spiritual master, but this fellow could not understand. So this man comes and he yells at Srila Prabhupada. He says, "Why is that man fanning you?" And Srila Prabhupada very coolly replied, "Because it is very hot." That was Srila Prabhupada's sense of humor. Because it is very hot. So like that, Srila Prabhupada, he was not really attached to all these comforts and luxuries. These people are challenging Srila Prabhupada for sitting on the Vyasasana, and little do they know that Srila Prabhupada came to the West on the Jaladuta cargo ship. How many of them have traveled for 38 days on a cargo ship? Not a cruise ship or a passenger ship, cargo ship. It's meant for cargo. It's not meant for humans. And until Captain Pandya got down in Amsterdam and bought Srila Prabhupada an electric cooker, all those days Srila Prabhupada fasted. It's there in Prabhupada Lilamrit. You can read it for yourself. Prabhupada fasted. He would not eat anything that was cooked by non-devotees. Although they were making vegetarian food for Prabhupada, Prabhupada would not accept it. When Captain Pandya finally at their first stop, I think it was one of the ports, maybe not Amsterdam, Istanbul, I think. Istanbul. When they stopped at Istanbul, that was the first stop after the books were loaded on the west coast of India. Prabhupada started from the east coast, Calcutta, then he came around like this, Sri Lanka, and then west coast. The Bhagavatam books were loaded. Srila Prabhupada went through the Arabian Sea, and when the first stop came, that's when the Captain Pandya got down and bought an electric cooker for Srila Prabhupada and some potatoes and other things, rice. That's when Srila Prabhupada cooked the first meal, offered it to Krishna, and distributed it to the crew, including Mr. and Mrs. Pandya. And then Srila Prabhupada had his first hot meal in weeks. So these people don't know these hardships that Srila Prabhupada has gone through. But when he's sitting on the Vyasasana, they have a problem. So this is simply out of envy. Therefore, my dear friends, we should not be envious of the acharyas. We should not be envious of the devotees. We should not be envious of Mahaprabhu. And we should be willing. The best way to counteract envy is to serve. Just engage in the service. That is the best way to overcome envy. That is the message of the verses that we read today. So with this, I will stop.